All right. That was our first live, and this is our second. So
well
good.
done.
Yeah.
You just froze, and I went, so I'm that boring that I've put you to sleep with your eyes open.
Same. You froze as well, and I carried on talking. Then I realised we might both just be talking to nobody. So this is round two.
Okay.
What are we talking about today?
We're talking about, oh my God, deja vu. People say Groundhog Day. Deja vu. Dog parks.
Dog parks. Yeah. As we just said a moment ago, we're just seeing so many people in dog parks. There's nothing else they're allowed to do. So loads of people just getting out of the house with their dogs. But it's causing problems. So yeah, we just wanted to go through the do's and don'ts. We've spoken a little bit in the past, but it'd be good to make sure we're on the same page on this. Go on.
Pick me. Can pick me.
Go for it.
All right, do's and don'ts. There's many do's and don'ts, but it all has to come from the perspective of the dog and its needs. And there's a couple of things that I'm really noticing lately. One is a lot of puppies. So I'm seeing a lot of really, really young puppies in dog parks that are being completely overwhelmed, or they're being, bull rushed by massive groups of dogs. And you hear the squealing, and all the dogs get really over-aroused, and that's the potential for a dog fight. I'm seeing people walk dogs that are not suitable for off-lead dog parks through dog parks, which is completely unfair for that particular dog. And an example I can give you is I've been doing dog walking lately, and our group was walking near the water bowl, and this adult boxer walked straight into the group. One of my dogs went up and had a sniff, and he spun around and snapped at him. And I said to the woman, "Excuse me, hello." She just kept on walking, and then another one of the dogs, so the dog stayed in there, and we could see that the dog wasn't comfortable. So myself and Steph, who was helping, tried to get the other dogs away. And then another dog went up. So it was a Frenchie that went up first, and then a Labrador, and then a Boston Terrier. Now, obviously, the boxer was getting more and more trigger stacked each time a dog went up to sniff him. So by the time the Boston went up and had a sniff at him, he really had enough, and his reaction was escalated in comparison to the first two reactions. So he spun around, snapped, and then pinned the Boston down and wouldn't let him back up. So we had to then intervene, and the woman just walked off saying that the dog didn't like being sniffed. Now, to me, that was all levels of ignorance, really, for her dog, as well as the other dogs that were going to go up. And because I don't know about you, Ian, but as far as I know, dogs say hi by sniffing. Like majority of the time.
Yeah, that's it. Like dogs will typically greet by approaching, and if not sniffing, then going up into personal space. Whether that's sniffing or just looking out for feedback. But yeah, going into the other space is something that happens in off-leash areas. And I don't know what you were about to say, but my take on it is, if you're taking a dog that has a really low tolerance of others coming into its space, then an off-leash dog park is not appropriate for your dog to be in there. Not for your dog's sake, and definitely not for the other dog's sake, because, well, nobody's having a good time there.
No, and as I said, it wasn't fair to the boxer because I think he just got stuck.
Yeah.
So after the first dog, he got stuck and he needed help to get out. And that was really on the owner to at least call him, and she didn't. She just kept on walking. So his reaction was to be expected, and I was not angry at the dog because he He was just being walked straight through an area that was, full of other dogs. And I think she just didn't want to walk. That's the other thing I'm seeing, is that this sort of thing is happening with people who never taught their dogs to walk on lead.
Yeah.
So they walk them off lead in areas they shouldn't.
Well, the dog, in my opinion, the dog has been set up to fail, right? So he's been put in a situation that he's not going to like, and the chances of something happening that he dislikes is really high, because that's just the nature of an off-leash dog park. But then when something happens that your dog doesn't like, your job as a caregiver and dog owner is to step in and help them. And then so he was put in a situation that he didn't like, and then got zero support. So that's fucked. And
Well, the other thing was, like, the dog was looking in the direction of his owner. Like, he was looking for help and looking for information, just for something. And that's what I mean by when he got stuck, because he was looking in the direction of his owner and her back was to him. So she didn't even see what was going on. So he's like, help me.
Yeah.
And then he was so overwhelmed with stress because he was being sniffed by dogs. And if that's something that he doesn't like, then, his tolerance isn't going to be there. So his reaction is going to equal his tolerance, which is, well, none.
I think something I genuinely think people mean well, but I think the logic sometimes goes out the window. Like, when people take their dog out, the idea is, in theory, I'm assuming that you and your dog have a good time. And to go to somewhere that he doesn't like, and then it really just defies the point of going for the walk in the first place. But the worse than that, I think what we're seeing is people then just normalize that behavior and go, oh, that's just the way he is. But that's just the way he is in the context that you put him.
But for what worries me is that, will that dog get to a point that he's put in that situation so often that his reaction is going to intensify? Is his reaction then going to be to another dog who is also in an uncomfortable situation, and then a fight breaks out, which then teaches this dog that when you come into this situation, be on guard, which means that the dog comes up to him to sniff him, his first reaction will be the last one that worked for him.
Yeah.
So he won't just turn around and air snap. He might pin and grab the next dog.
I think it's just a bit broken on a few levels. Like, that's the worst case scenario, dogs actually getting into conflict and genuinely just really bad circumstances. But even on a day-to-day level, if that dog's there a lot, his quality of life is really shit. Just even if it doesn't escalate that bad, I think his quality of life is really compromised. And that's just, I think, whether it's ignorance or whether it's just oblivious to people just doing what is culturally normal, going to dog parks to socialize their dogs. Like, I think people are just a little bit, misguided on that. Like, people should be living lives to make their dogs happy and comfortable every day. And, you see that dog not put in that situation for a while, you'll see his tolerance probably go up.
Oh, huge. And I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head there. I think it's people that are just misguided, because, the word socialization is, it's a broad statement that is not specifically unpacked. What does it actually mean for the dog? Or, when I was like puppies, there are so many puppies I'm seeing at dog parks, tiny, tiny little puppies that, some of them are only 10 weeks old, which for me is too young to be going to a dog park. That's what my opinion, because they're right in that developmental stage where their brain is so much more susceptible to trauma. So, all it would take is a big dog to run over the top of it, nothing traumatic that we would think. But to that little tiny puppy, that's an avalanche of feet that's just come over the top of it. That'll then come out later. So, but where some people are getting their information and then going, oh, I need to socialize my dog.
Yeah.
Okay. Where do I socialize my dog? Dog park.
Yeah. Like, I've never met a dog owner that doesn't know that socializing is important, but I've never met a dog owner that could actually tell me what it is. So everybody's out there socializing their dogs, but they don't really know what they're even trying to do. So and that for me is a massive flaw in puppy school education and
Yeah.
so many other things.
Well, that's on us as the professionals.
Yeah.
This is my thing at the moment.
But yeah, I mean, just for clarity, well, I don't want to leave people hanging, but because what I would love to do is just identify a couple of things there. For me, and socializing is teaching your dog socially appropriate responses to others' communication patterns, whether that's other dog communicating something good or unpleasant. We want a socially appropriate response. Socializing involves giving them the opportunity to learn what others are actually saying, so that they can react appropriately. But dogs are if you take just a dog and like what that might look like, and you look at so many different species, from like a Chihuahua through to a French Bulldog through to a Great Dane, we're asking dogs to just get used to dogs, but they need to learn every single one of those languages for them to be able to react appropriately. And it doesn't, and for me, socializing must be done in a frame of mind where they're actually capable of learning and processing information. And that high arousal that people get their dogs into in social settings sets them up to fail. And dog parks are a prime example of that. People take their dog to the dog park with the notion of, this is going to be fun for my dog, and they get them all ramped up and they put them in the deep end, metaphorically, and then the dog's just learning. Whenever I'm around dogs, I'm hyper aroused, and that's going to lead to really unpredictable behavior, whether that's playfulness or fearful responses or just hyper aroused responses. We're seeing really, really exaggerated behavior.
But it's also, to go to your point there with predictability, on the other hand, also creates high arousal predictability, where it creates these behaviors that, and I've a client with a dog like this, who she smells a dog park and high-pitched barking, just very erratic. She cannot stop herself because of that prediction of, oh, I'm going to bark, I'm going to bark, I'm going to bark. And she's just so excited. And this is transferred because in the early days, that was basically her entire fun, was going to the dog park and chasing a ball or chasing a frisbee. So now whenever she gets into a car or goes near a dog park, that she gets that scent, or there is there's something in the environment that cues her that she's about to go to the park, and that excitement level spikes and she just can't contain herself. And that's a really, really hard behavior to try and alleviate, because when you live in an area surrounded by dog parks, as soon as she gets in the car, she's already over aroused and overexcited, and then she's frustrated. So then by the gets to the park, it's like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. So it's this behavior that and that emotional state that she can't control.
Well, that's something we need to consider. Is like, dog parks essentially are social environments, right, where we anticipate encountering other individuals, people and dogs. And when we take our dog in, we want them to be in that social frame of mind. They're going to be received by others. And if your dog's a bit of a loose unit that's just mental every time it's in the dog park, it's not going to be well received by others, like, very often. It's a nutcase. And the other dogs are going to look at him like, you're a bit unstable. I don't know you. You're a stranger in my personal space, and you're really unpredictable. And the only real long-term consistent loser is your dog, because your dog's now learning that other dogs don't like me.
It's kind of, to me, it's like going to a locals pub when you're not a local.
Yeah.
And you're really uncomfortable and you have a few too many drinks, and all the locals are off to the corner going, okay, who is this girl? What is she doing dancing on the table? Where your own local pub that you can dance on your table and all your friends like, yeah, that's amazing. You go to another locals and no, this is very unacceptable.
Well, that's it. You go in a more what's the word when you're going to be better received by others. Like, don't take your dog in like a nutcase. Like, I use a pub analogy as well, but mine's a little bit less. Well, it's like I always use the term. It's like taking a cokehead to a quiet pub. He's
Yeah.
going to get looked at like he's a bit of an off one. Like, and
Yeah.
like I really like. I also really think it's appropriate to take like the right, like you said earlier, the right type of dog to dog parks. Dogs that are actually tolerant of other dogs in their space, and it's there's a couple of points I wanted to get across. One of them, I loved Nando Brown's comment or phrase that he uses, which is like, if you've got a disco dog, take him to the disco. But if you've got a library dog, don't take him to the disco. And the other one is public or general perception of what is normal, because most dogs are tolerant or selective when it comes to other dogs, not just super social, but they're the ones that people see in social settings, so they've been normalized. And so most dogs are rightfully quite reserved about meeting strangers. Like, that's normal, but we don't we don't see them in that situation, and that's where people tend to get their social norms from. So the public perception's a bit warped, if that makes sense.
But yeah, it is, and I think it is because of what you see in a dog park. So yeah, a good example of that is, say, Centennial Park, where there's the off-lead dog park down near the Federation Monument. Now, that to me is a nightclub full of cokeheads. Like, there's just a lot of dogs, and some of them are really suited to it. You can see them, they engage really well. The communication between each dog, it is a conversation. So you can see with some of them, they've got to know each other over a duration of time, and that's great. So they run up to them and go, hey, how are you? Great. How's Roger? Lovely. How's Mary? Fantastic. They have a play, and it's really, really nice. But then sometimes what you see is 25 of them going, hey, mate, how you doing? And then, and there's this one dog going, I so don't want to be here. And that's the dog that gets chased.
Yeah.
So then you've got all of these other really, really overexcited dogs see this tiny little dog doing this and trying to get away from them all. And they're like, oh, cool, it's a race. Let's all chase that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. The complete opposite to that is people who do the circumference of Centennial Park. So it's people who are just walking, non-stop walking with their dog's engaging with the environment. Archie's that dog because he doesn't like he's not a disco dog.
No.
Look at him.
But the majority are.
No, but him, when we walk around the circumference, he walks up to dog, hey mate, how you going? Yep, good, no balls, yes balls, wonderful, fantastic, moves on. He goes down into that flat area and he's on edge, tails straight up. He goes up on his toes, neck gets long, and I can see that his tolerance is this big. Yeah. So, we don't go there. We might walk through there if we're doing the circumference, but it's arch here, stay here. And I think it is people recognizing who they have with them.
Well, I think I don't know about you, I'm assuming again that we're in a similar circumstance, but like I get a lot of people tell me, oh, my dog used to love it. And great, they probably did, but that doesn't mean they do today. Like, I used to love going out and getting really fucked up, but I don't do that as much anymore. And if I did, exactly, that's exactly right. That's what I was leading to.
You reduce your tolerance as you get older.
Yeah, and like, don't get me wrong, I still love having a really good time, but my definition of a good time is quite different to what it used to be. And it's really normal for your dogs to for our dogs to preferences to change that way. And like the other one that I'd love your take on this as well. The other one we hear a lot is the dog's been going to the park regularly and it's got a regular playmate, and then all of a sudden it just turns on that one playmate. We see that so much, and I'm like, one of the first questions I always ask there is, did those two dogs ever learn to relax around one another? Because that friend that is just fucking relentless, like let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, is a lot. And I've had so many friends over the years that I've snapped at because they're just like that. And I know that I've been that friend. You know, it's
Well,
yeah, sorry.
Well, no, I interrupted. Apologies.
Well, all I was going to say, sorry, all I was going to say to finish it was, play is it's just a fragment of what socializing is. And if your dog just plays with other dogs every time it sees another dog, it doesn't mean that it's social. It means that it's an idiot that actually knows how to do one behavior around dogs.
But
yeah.
I would ask, define the play. Like, explain it to me, because what some people think is play isn't play.
Yeah.
You know, one dog chasing and air snapping at another dog is not play.
No.
But some people think it is. So it's really, again, you know, that misunderstanding or misinformation that some people have is, what is play, and what is good play, and what does it look like? Because again, and I'm sure you must have heard it as well, you know, people say, oh, you know, they were playing, then all of a sudden there was a fight out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Was it actual play?
Was it
give and take play, or was it one chasing another dog and the other one eventually enough, I've had enough?
Like tactile play between dogs is a conversation, and then, like every healthy conversation, that involves a series of invites and back-offs, and it only goes wrong when the back-off isn't heard. And if one dog is insisting, then we no longer have a healthy conversation, and so we don't have play.
Yeah.
And that for me is, again, we go back to what frame of mind the dog is in and its state of arousal, because the higher the arousal level, the lower the ability to process information. And so if the dog is hyper aroused or overstimulated, its ability to read the conversation is compromised. And so it's no longer in a social frame of mind.
Yeah.
And that, I think so many people mistake hyperarousal for happiness. They see the dog's big expressions and elaborate behavior, and they assume that it's happy, when a lot of the time we're looking at a dog's nervous center being on fire.
Well, yeah, and I think, again, you hit something there where people see, again, it's misinterpretation. You know, some people, when they don't see a dog move at all, they go, they're fine.
Yeah.
Is it fine?
Yeah. Oh, that's a great.
The great stretch. Thank you. And then you have at the other end of the scale so much movement, and they go, look how much fun they're having. So back to your guy that's, you know, doped up on coke. He's moving around. He's not happy. You know, his nervous system is shot. And that movement is because he's just responding to feeling. There's no thinking. There is no process. There is no learning. There's just a lot of action.
Yeah.
So when people do see that and they go, oh my God, look, that dog's having so much fun. No, it's not. Like,
not necessarily.
You know, movement, if you're running, you know, again, you look at it in the context. If someone goes, oh, wow, that person's running, they're having so much fun. Then 2 minutes later, someone comes past them with a knife. That person's running for their lives. They're not having fun. So well, it's in a context.
Something else to consider is how everybody else is also tolerating and feels about what's happening in the park. Because so many people will just go, well, my dog's fine. That's not my problem. But like, if you can see that your dog's behavior, as innocent as it might be, even if they are having a good time running around and playing, but you can see that another dog is really uncomfortable there, and you can also see that the other dog's owner is oblivious and isn't removing their dog, then it's on you. You're the one that's recognized something isn't right, and to go, I'm just going to stop my dog from moving this fast because it's actually causing a really tense environment. And it's about just a bit of social responsibility. I think so many, unfortunately, are going, well, it's not my problem. And we need to have better care of not just our dogs, but the community. We see it with like people walking the dog off lead where they shouldn't, and going, oh look, my dog's not a problem. It's just really inconsiderate of other people. So on so many levels, we could benefit from people actually just looking out for the wider community. It does come back down to most people don't know what they're looking for, but still.
Yeah, and it's, the people who walk dogs off lead, I have a huge gripe with that. I've been working with a dog that was attacked.
In areas that, just for clarity on everyone else, that we're talking about in areas that is legally meant to be on lead.
Legally, yeah. Footpaths where you are legally required to have a lead on your dog.
Yeah.
I was working with the dog. We were just teaching this dog to stop on a corner. So we're on a corner, and behind me comes this off-lead Kelpie and starts attacking the dog that I had on lead. We ended up on the road. When I screamed not so nice PC words to this gentleman, he said, I can't walk the dog on lead. And the dog, he did put the dog on lead. He did put the dog on lead, and then the dog dragged him down the street. So it was more of an inconvenience for him to walk the dog on lead because he'd never taught the dog to walk on lead.
Yeah. That's for another day, I reckon. That's fucked, but
that's another conversation.
It really is, yeah. No, I mean, let's look to wrap this up. Let's go through some do's. What can people do to make the dog park a better experience for them, their dogs, and other people's dogs?
Know your dog. I really know your dog. Is the dog park a place where your dog wants to be? Is it the dog park the place where your dog will genuinely have fun, which to me means they can go engage with another dog and then disengage, come back with you. So the whole reliance isn't purely just being on running full pelt for 20 minutes around another dog. Know your dog park. Yeah. So when you go into the dog park, stand at a distance where your dog is okay. And even if you just stand there and just reinforce your dog for being there, exposing your dog and seeing how it copes, but having a look at what are the dogs doing? What are the owners doing? Are the owners actually taking notice of their dogs? Do you see dogs running around frightened, tail tucked, ears back, baring teeth? I see a lot of that.
Be present. I think, like you said, be present and go in with that mindset of keep your dog in a good frame of mind and understand that every single interaction with the other dogs is going to be a conversation. It might not go perfectly. So be prepared to remove your dog. And also, if it doesn't feel right, it isn't. There's no obligation to you can just leave and walk away. And remember that you took your dog out to have a good time. If it doesn't feel right, it's not going to have a good time. Go and do something else with your dog. Go for a walk. Spend some time training him. Like, much better ways to...
I put some stuff up on my Insta the other day about some engagement walks. Like, also for me, it's your dog walk is for your dog.
Yeah.
But between you and your dog. For me, a dog walk should be between you and your dog to enjoy that time. Away from your phone, away from work, away from all your worries, where you can look at your dog and go, hey, mate, what do you want to do? Yeah. Whether that other dogs are engaged with you. Not that you go to the park, put your earphones in, look at your phone, chuck it, drink your coffee.
I think...
In my opinion.
That's it. And the last thing I wanted to just add to it was, remember that when you're socializing your dog in there, you don't want them to learn through fear. You don't want them to push other dogs so far that they get told so much that they get a fear imprint and learn to avoid doing behaviors out of fear. You want to make sure that your dogs are surrounded by others that are actually in a healthy frame of mind. And if they are going to have a disagreement, it's communicated in a way without escalating. And don't normalize dog aggression. It's not normal. It's not appropriate. Yeah. Anyway. Good stuff. Thanks, mate. Well done. Our second live was so much better than our first.
Yeah. And expectations mega low, but that was good.
It was great. Thanks so much, mate. Have a good day.
You too. See ya.